Hi, my name is Sharia, and you're listening to a brand new episode of The Aviation Files, a podcast for all aviation enthusiasts. In today's episode, we'll discuss where you can get your very own A380, a quick look at Corendon Airline's new adult-only class, an engine fire causing a diversion in Turkey, a life-saving miracle on a Vistara flight, and a special segment on the story behind why some Philippine Airlines A340s were registered in France. Without further ado, let's begin. Thai Airways had recently retired their fleet of A380s, and now they've listed them so eligible bidders can buy them. The aircraft are still considered airworthy and are being sold under as-is, where-is conditions. Even though Thai Airways had a plan to bring back the A380 last year, the plan never followed through, and now they have decided to sell them at the deposit price of just $50,000. It's surprising any airline would get rid of such a young fleet of aircraft, with the oldest Thai A380, Hotel Sierra Tango Uniform Alpha, being just 11 years old. However, the A380 has seen many economic issues for all airlines. Not to mention that Thai Airways is under bankruptcy protection. The airline had previously tried to sell two of their A380s, Hotel Sierra Tango Uniform Echo and Hotel Sierra Tango Uniform Foxtrot in 2021. However, they failed to find any buyers. My main worry with Thai Airways A380s is that they'll end up like the Malaysian Airlines fleet of A380s. For those of you that don't know, Malaysian Airlines hasn't been able to sell any of their A380s for a while, despite making great efforts to sell them. Thai Airways' A380s aren't the only part of the fleet that are meeting the chopping block. Their 747-400s are also retired, which is unfortunate because they were originally set to retire in 2024. But alas, the pandemic has sealed the fate of these 747s, as it has many others. Thai Airways is eyeing a 30 wide-body aircraft order to serve as replacements for their quad-jet fleet once emerging from bankruptcy protection. The airline will keep bidding open for its A380s until September 12th, and has said that they reserve the right to refuse any unfavorable bidders. Whoever purchases these jets has their work cut out for them, though, because Thai Airways has their A380 stored at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi International Airport (BKK) and Utapao Rayong Pattaya International Airport (UTP), meaning any buyer would have to go through a tedious process to get them ferried. Now let's discuss potential buyers. I don't think Thai Airways will actually be able to find a buyer before September 12th. However, I do think that there may be some scope for buyers interested later on. As many of you have heard, a new airline called Global Airlines was recently founded in May 2021 by British entrepreneur James Asquith. The airline is aiming to launch flights between London Heathrow and New York JFK and Los Angeles LAX. Their fleet consists of 3 A380s and aims to be an all A380 airline, at least for the foreseeable future. This is the first buyer I think might be interested. Unlike other airlines that are veering away from the A380, Global Airlines is going to add more A380s to their fleet later down the line, and I think Thai Airways or Malaysian Airlines will be one of the sellers that they buy from. The next potential buyer is any aviation museum. It is a well-known fact that the A380 is one of the most revolutionary and iconic aircraft of all time, and undoubtedly there are going to be museums that want to restore and keep an A380 at their museum. I think it would be great if museums around the world started having A380 exhibitions, but the A380 is a big aircraft, so it would be really hard for many museums to accommodate such an aircraft. Furthermore, it would be hard to get the A380 to many Western museums, and I don't know of any big or famous Thai museums centered around commercial aviation. But nonetheless, there is definitely a possibility that some museum will snatch up an A380. Regardless of who buys the A380s and when they buy it, it is sad to see the changing landscape of the aviation world and large wide-body quad jets being retired so soon. Next, we move to Turkey to look into Corendon Airline's new adult-only cabin class. Despite what it sounds like, the cabin section is meant for passengers who don't want to fly with children and families. This will be launched in November for passengers 16 and up, and as of now, the only aircraft that will see this new cabin are their A350s, that too on select routes. Corendon plans to start this new program on the 3rd of November this year on their Amsterdam to Curaçao route. Corendon will be utilizing World to Fly's A350-900s, where they have separated 93 seats in the front for passengers above the age of 16. In addition to these 93 seats, there will be an additional 9 seats with extra legroom and more comfort in this adult-only section that will cost more per seat. The target for this adult-only space is for appropriate-aged people to be able to do what they need to do. For business people, it is to work in quiet and peace without children screaming. For parents, it might be a chance to take a break from a very vocal kid. And for the others, it can be simple peace to avoid any unwanted comfort or reactions to the noise that comes with family and kids. While Corendon Airlines isn't the pioneer of such an approach, it likely holds that distinction among Dutch carriers. Unlike its counterparts such as KLM, Transavia, and TUI, Corendon has taken the lead in this regard. Attila Uslu, co-founder of Corendon, highlighted this by saying, "We are proud to be the first Dutch airline to introduce the only adult zone, as it caters to travelers seeking some extra tranquility during their journey. We also believe that this offering will have a positive impact on parents traveling with young children, allowing them to enjoy their flight without apprehensions when their little ones make a bit more noise." While currently limited to flights between Amsterdam and Curaçao, passengers flying with Corendon on other routes might find this exclusion disappointing. However, Corendon has reassured that if the trial run proves successful and a demand for an only adult zone exists, they will extend this concept to more of their routes. The concept of segregating passengers from children might seem extreme, but the notion of an only adult zone seems equitable. This is especially pertinent given that passengers who generally prefer not to sit near young children often have to pay extra for this privilege, and the capacity of this zone is merely 102 seats. With this paid option, families traveling with their children might worry less about their kids being more active during the flight. This in turn could reduce conflicts between passengers who are bothered by the disturbances and parents. Additionally, flight attendants might experience smoother service with fewer complaints stemming from disrupted passengers. On August 25th, a Jet2 A321-200neo flying from Bodrum to Manchester had to change its course and land in Antalya due to an issue with one of its engines. The pilots managed to land the plane safely at Antalya International Airport, AYT. Diverting a flight is never a positive development. Aside from causing stress for both the flight crew and passengers, a diversion results in a series of operational disruptions. This scenario unfolded on August 25th with the Jet2 Airbus A321-200neo that was on its way from Milas Bodrum Airport, BJB, to Manchester International Airport, MAN. Flight LS984 took off from Bodrum at 2:38 local time, 23:38 UTC, aiming for a roughly 4-hour and 10-minute journey to Manchester in northwest England. As the aircraft was ascending after departing from runway 10L in Bodrum, the left-hand LEAP-1A engine experienced a series of loud noises and flashes of fire, prompting the crew to shut down the engine. The plane leveled off at 9,000 feet and circled Bodrum 9 times. After 40 minutes from takeoff, the pilots made the decision to divert to Antalya. The aircraft climbed to FL 140 and successfully landed on runway 36C at 4:03 local time, 1:03 UTC. After the safe landing, passengers were accommodated in hotels and later transferred to another plane that took them to their final destination, Manchester, the following day. The aircraft involved in the incident, with registration Golf Sierra Uniform November Bravo, remains grounded in Antalya for over 50 hours since landing. Jet2 stated that the diversion was caused by a technical problem. According to a passenger interviewed on a local Turkish TV show, the left engine exploded multiple times with flames and sparks. What information do we have about the aircraft in question? The aircraft that underwent the diversion is one of Jet2's 3 Airbus A321-200neos, identified as Golf Sierra Uniform November Bravo, and it is equipped with 2 CFMI LEAP-1A32 engines. CFM International is a collaboration between GE Aerospace and Safran Aircraft Engine. This aircraft is relatively new, having been delivered to Jet2 on March 15, 2023. It stands out with its Jet2 Holidays livery, predominantly white fuselage blue tail and a bright yellow sun design. Jet2's configuration for this plane features an all-economy class cabin arranged in a 3-3 seating setup. Each of the 232 seats offers 29 inches of legroom and 17.5 inches of width. Jet2 welcomed its inaugural A321neo in March of the current year, only 2 years after placing the initial order for this aircraft type. This event was highly anticipated in the UK's commercial aviation industry. The airline, based in Yorkshire, ordered its first A321neo in August 2021, marking its first ever purchase of a brand new Airbus jet. Due to the all-economy layout, Jet 2 can effectively control the aircraft's per-seat costs and emissions. The airline emphasizes the A321neo's environmental advantages, highlighting that its emissions per seat are roughly 20% lower than those of older aircraft. Jet2 has committed orders for a total of 98 Airbus A320neos and A321neo jets, with the possibility of expanding this number to as many as 146 jets. It's clear that Airbus's next-generation narrow-body aircraft will form the core of Jet2's fleet for the foreseeable future. Now let's look at the recent life-saving miracle that recently happened on board a Vistara flight. Due to a medical crisis, a Vistara flight had to change its route and land in Nagpur as a young passenger became seriously unwell. Fortunately, a team of medical professionals on the plane promptly attended to the child's condition before handing her over to a pediatrician upon her landing. On August 27th, a Vistara flight en route from Bengaluru to Delhi faced an urgent medical situation when a 2-year-old girl experienced breathing difficulties. Fortunately, the flight was carrying experienced doctors from New Delhi's All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, who were returning from a medical event in Bengaluru. As a result, the aircraft was rerouted to Nagpur. The doctors responded to the flight crew's distress call and immediately provided assistance to the child, who had ceased breathing. According to a statement released by the AIIMS, the 2-year-old girl had a congenital heart defect and had previously undergone treatment for it. Upon examination, the child had no pulse, her extremities were cold, she wasn't breathing, and her lips and fingers were discolored due to the lack of oxygen. The medical team quickly initiated cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, with the resources available. AIIMS also mentioned the medical team on board successfully established intravenous access, inserted an oropharyngeal airway, and initiated an emergency response. The team's efforts resulted in the return of circulation for the baby. The situation became more complex with another cardiac arrest, during which an automated external defibrillator AED was employed. After 45 minutes of resuscitation, the flight was rerouted to Nagpur. Upon arrival, the child was handed over to a pediatrician in a stable condition. There have been several medical emergencies involving flights in India, either originating from the country or traveling to it, this month. On August 16th, a senior pilot traveling on a Qatar Airways flight from India fell seriously ill and passed away on board. On August 17th, an elderly passenger with chronic health issues became critically ill and began vomiting blood on an Indigo flight. Unfortunately, his condition deteriorated and he could not be saved. On August 25th, an Alliance Air flight bound for Jabalpur had to make an emergency landing in Jaipur due to a passenger experiencing a drop in blood pressure. The passenger was taken off the flight and transported to a hospital in Jaipur. Airline procedures while medical emergencies during flights are relatively rare. They do occur on occasion, though. Depending on the severity of the situation, airlines have established protocols to address such incidents. As documented in a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, common in-flight emergencies include nausea, fainting, and respiratory issues. Airlines are required to have procedures in place to handle such scenarios, and flight attendants are trained to provide basic first aid using available resources like bandages and cold packs. However, they are not a substitute for medical professionals. Therefore, based on the circumstances, flight crews must make swift decisions regarding whether to divert the flight or administer medical care on board. Finally, let's take a look at a very interesting piece of aviation history. A while back, some of Philippine Airlines' A340s were registered in France for some reason. This, believe it or not, isn't a rare occurrence in the aviation industry. Before we begin, let's start by examining the origins of Philippine Airlines and the reason behind the French registrations for some of its Airbus A340s. PAL, Philippine Airlines, founded on February 26, 1941 by the Philippine Aerial Taxi Company, initially operated shuttle flights from Manila to Baguio and Paracale during the 1930s. After World War II and Japan's surrender on September 2, 1945, PAL emerged as a prominent Asian airline. By the 1980s, it operated daily flights from Ninoy Aquino International Airport, MNL, to various European airports, including Amsterdam Schiphol Airport AMS, Athens International Airport ATH, Frankfurt Airport FRA, London Gatwick Airport LGW, and Leonardo da Vinci International Airport FCO. The Asian financial crisis in 1997 severely impacted PAL, leading to a significant stock collapse and a substantial corporate setback in Philippine history. To cope with the crisis, the airline drastically scaled down its operations, suspending international and most domestic flights except those to and from Manila. The airline entered receivership in 1998 and emerged from the situation in 2007. During the 1970s, Airbus introduced the Airbus A300 to compete with Boeing and Douglas. This marked the beginning of the A300 concept, which later evolved into various aircraft models. The development of the Airbus A340, a four-engine aircraft, was already in progress by the time Extended Range Twin-Engine Operation Performance Standards, or ETOPS, evolved. ETOPS initially allowed twin-engine planes to fly over water within 90 minutes of an available airport for landing. The ETOPS duration was increased to 120 minutes by the FAA in 1985 and further extended to 180 minutes in 1988. The Airbus A340 had its maiden flight on October 25, 1991, and entered service with Lufthansa and Air France in March 1993. Between 1996 and 2019, Philippine Airlines incorporated 18 Airbus A340s aircraft into its fleet. The first arrival, starting in 1996, included a 2-year-old Airbus A340-200 from Cathay Pacific with the registration Foxtrot Oscar Hotel Papa Foxtrot. Subsequent arrivals in January, February, and March 1997 bore registrations Foxtrot Oscar Hotel Papa Golf, Foxtrot Oscar Hotel Papa Hotel, and Foxtrot Oscar Hotel Papa India, respectively. Notably, aircraft registered with the French Civil Aircraft Register feature an F prefix in their registration number, hence the starting with Foxtrot, while Philippine registered aircraft feature an RP prefix. The initial French registrations of some Airbus A340s owned by Philippine Airlines were a strategic move. This approach allowed the leasing company to repossess the aircraft in case the airline defaulted on payments. Philippine laws at the time made it extremely difficult to reclaim aircraft in case of payment defaults. Furthermore, during the airline's receivership, foreign registered aircraft were protected from being impounded or sold by the Philippine Security and Exchange Commission, SEC. Consequently, in 2008, the Philippines government mandated that all aircraft owned by Philippine-based airlines must be registered in the country. This marked a shift away from the French registrations that had been employed earlier on the Airbus A340s. That's all we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episodes, and thanks for listening. Until next time.